July of 2013, a federal judge approved a nearly $2 billion settlement between multinational banking giant HSBC and the U.S. government. It allowed the bank to avoid criminal prosecution for activities ranging from money laundering for Mexican and Colombian drug cartels to defying U.S. sanctions against countries like Libya and Sudan. HSBC was also forced to ensure oversight, guaranteeing an end to these practices in the future. But a new report just released by watchdog group Public Citizen indicates that HSBC's illegal behavior has largely continued since the settlement. So to discuss the details of this new report, I'm joined now by its author, Andrew Perez. Thank you so much for coming on, Andrew.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. So as a result of the settlement, exactly what conditions did HSBC agree to?
Well, they agreed to, first off, pay around $2 billion in fines, but beyond that, they also agreed to undergo compliance monitoring, and they also agreed to institute a series of reforms as well as comply with all U.S. federal laws.
And, any other small bank, if this happened to them, they would have their charter completely revoked. I mean, all of their executives would probably be sitting behind bars. How did this exactly happen, where just kind of no one was even seemed to be fired there?
I mean, it's hard to say. You know, I think there's been a big reluctance at the Justice Department to prosecute banks that are of a significant size and might affect the economy if they, say, had their charter revoked.
Unbelievable. Well, let's talk about their criminal activities that the report has outlined since all of this went down. There's a lot of them. Let's first talk about Panama's tax fraud and the company's involvement in that.
Okay, sure. So, I mean, it's just something that the Justice Department has laid out, which is that HSBC was offering bank accounts for a company called Sovereign Management, which is a multi-jurisdictional offshore services company. And that company, it looks like, is designed explicitly to help people keep money overseas. And the Justice Department has said that they're targeting U.S. citizens who were using Sovereign Management, and they think that HSBC's accounts will have that information.
And you also outlined another tax evasion scheme that the bank is allegedly facilitating in Belgium.
Yeah, Belgian prosecutors have charged them with aiding their citizens or helping Belgian citizens avoid taxes. And they also explicitly mentioned Panama.
How are they doing that in Belgium?
Well, they are holding money overseas for Belgian citizens. And their private banking unit in Switzerland.
And also, the bank also might be engaged in insurance fraud in the UK. What's that about?
Well, so the United Kingdom has said that they are recouping, or that the HSBC is in one of a number of institutions that are setting aside money to pay back people, to pay back I guess British citizens who had paid for credit card protection, for fraud protection that just wasn't necessary because they would be paid back if they'd lost their card.
So what's your response to executives in HSBC who have said, it's impossible with a bank this size with so many clients that you can pretty much eliminate money laundering?
Well, I don't think they're being asked to eliminate money laundering. I think they're being asked to institute security systems that are designed to flag money laundering. But beyond that, I mean, 2 years after their deferred prosecution agreement, the idea that they're still having trouble complying with what is federal law is it's kind of unbelievable. They say right now that they're on pace to meet the terms of their 5-year agreement, and that leaves a lot of questions, which is, do they have to start complying after like year 4, at year 5, or should they be compliant now with U.S. law, and then the Justice Department is monitoring their commitment to keeping within the law?
And what's particularly interesting about all of this is Obama's nomination for the new Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, actually oversaw that original HSBC case as U.S. Attorney in Brooklyn. I mean, let's talk about what happened back then. She refused to prosecute the bank back then for much more serious crimes. How do you think she'll deal with the bank now as Attorney General?
Well, in her confirmation hearing last week, she said that no individual is above the law, and no company is above the law, and no individual is too big to fail. And so it sounds to me like they're announcing a new policy. In that everything we've seen is that HSBC has acted above the law. And they admitted to some extremely egregious behavior, be it like laundering money or allowing cartels to launder money there, or allowing countries that were prohibited from doing business in the U.S. To conduct transactions. So I mean, it seems like there is a total lack of accountability, and I'm interested to see how it shapes up, if they will go after them. I know that the compliance monitor just gave a new report to the Justice Department just last week, actually, or 2 weeks ago. And the summary will be released in April, but I'm interested to see what they have to say.
Well, let's hear exactly what she did say about that at the confirmation hearing.
Certainly, Senator. When it comes to white-collar crime or any kind of crime, as a career prosecutor and as U.S. Attorney, I've been very aggressive in pursuing those types of cases. With respect to, should I become confirmed as Attorney General, I would continue that and direct that the Department of Justice continue its focus on examining the facts of every case, following the law wherever it took us. At the outset, no individual is too big to jail.
So I know that, Eric Holder, of course, famously said the opposite, but I mean, how much of a philosophy, like a fundamental difference in this philosophy do you think that she has from her counterpart?
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, the best example right now would be the HSBC case, in which case no one went to jail, and the bank was apparently too big to prosecute. So it sounds like she's announcing a fundamental shift in policy, but it kind of remains to be seen.
Right. We have to see the actions and
Yes.
not just words. But, I mean, Andrew, doesn't this entire too big to jail policy indicate that banks of this size need to be split up at the very least?
It would seem to be that way. I mean, if it's, the idea is that if they were to be prosecuted to the extent that or for the crimes that they committed, that would, have significant repercussions for the economy. That's a problem. I mean, if they can't be held responsible for their behavior, that is a major issue.
It is a major issue. Thank you so much for breaking it down in that report. Andrew Perez, researcher, public citizen. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right.
Coming up, I'll talk about a recent spotlight on police killings in Denver. Stay tuned.
I'm a fighter. I can take a punch. I live. I learn something every day. I strike when I need to strike.
Just like that.
I prepare. I've earned everything I have. If I fall, I get back up. I won't be underestimated. I'm Erin Aid, and I put the boom into boom bust.
You know that guy who wishes someone would spy on him? How about the woman who enjoys being lied to by her government? This citizen can't get enough congressional inaction, and this taxpayer wants the mainstream media to be more corporatized. While this person would rather eat genetically modified food, this one thinks our prisons are not crowded enough. And what do these people have in common? They don't exist.